people. Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. You're watching live with Marc Neumann on the Foodicyn network. I'm just going to wait a few moments until people get onto the link, because I don't really want to be talking to fresh air, but at the same time I'm okay to do that as well. So if anybody's on there, I'm being recorded today, so I can't actually see the eyes or the thumbs up, but give my beautiful recorder today, who's Debbie, a good thumbs up if you guys can hear me, if you can see me, if everything's a go. I'm just going to wait for a thumbs up. Anybody on? Are we all on? Are we all ready to go? Okay, we're ready to go. Perfect. All right, guys, welcome to the Saturday Day Live with Marc Neumann on the Foodicyn network. Here's where we punch out so much information on a new understanding of education based on nutrition redefined. So if you're on this platform for the first time, welcome. What you'll find about this program and what you'll find about the platform, that yes, although there are products that will be offered to you a little later on in the platform, it's really about the education. It's really about looking at a new way of understanding nutrition, looking at a new way of understanding our bodies, and really, in a sense, making health as sexy as possible. And by sexy, I mean simple, I mean educational, and I mean convenient, and then cost effective so that you can shine. So yes, I'm going to get into some of the display in front of me a little later on. But right now, we're here to talk about acid reflux. And I know a thing or two about acid reflux because I think I suffered for many years, at least a decade, with acid reflux. In fact, I went to live in Australia for 13 years, and when I came back, I'd heard that acid reflux is now changed to GERD. And so it's a whole new dimension in understanding it, and doctors give you the feedback. And at the end of the day, guys, acid reflux is a food-related challenge. And so unless you're willing to put the effort in to cool and soothe what's going on inside of you, the chances are you taking medication is not going to help you. So before I get into the what, where, who, whys, and whens of acid reflux, I wanted to just share a little bit of my story with you. Now, you can read all about my story in my book, Did I Eat Toxic? You can download that for free. It's a free download. It gives the whole story of the 12 ailments that I was able to cure myself with food. It was the derivative behind why I actually wrote Did I Eat Toxic? And it was also the way that I was able to invent Foodicyn and also create the Blend Yourself Healthy platform. So when I was a young kid, I absolutely loved food. I loved chocolates, I loved sweets, I loved lollies, I loved candies, I loved cereals, Cocoa Pops, Strawberry Pops, you name it, whatever it was. And as I grew up as a young man, I found myself attracted to the food industry. And so I was working at places like the Richmond Hill Country Club and Lime Ricky's and Joe Badali's. By the time I was 26, I started my own business called the Decadent Martini. So I was always around catering, and I was always around food and always around gourmet stuff. When I immigrated to Australia at the age of 35, I kind of left the North American understanding of food behind and entered a whole new world of Australiana. Now, back in that day, which was 16 years ago, the gourmet food industry hadn't quite built up to what it is today. And so when I found myself in Australia, I was by the ocean. There was healthy people all around. There weren't things like Macca's and Taco Bell and Burger King and all these things in my vicinity. And so I found myself being driven into a space where fruits and vegetables and healthy foods, quote unquote, were abundant. But my story kind of is a quick flip, 180-degree cycle, whereas I took stock of my life when I was 35 and couldn't believe that I was in such a place of ill repute, with reflux being one of those aspects that came into my daily life every single day, and sometimes it would happen 3, 4, 5 times a day. Now, what did I go through? Let me explain to you what I went through. I would sit there with friends, family, whatever it was, and I'd eat a meal. And after that meal, I would feel incredibly bloated. But more than that, I would feel this complete explosion wanting to break out of my chest, It was so painful. And the only way that I could actually relieve that was to force burp. Right, to breathe air into my lungs and then to blow it out. So it felt like something was erupting, but at the same time, nothing was. That was the one aspect. The other one was continuously, the bile from the inside of my stomach was continuously popping up to scratch and touch the back of my throat. Now, anybody who's suffered acid reflux knows that it's really burning and really painful. And there's a simple explanation for that, is that the gastric juices of your stomach is on the lowest realm of the acid scale. Now, when I talk about acid scale, I talk about acid, neutral, and alkaline. So your stomach acids are literally 1. So you can imagine the intensity of the acidity that's burning inside of you. So I managed to look at that and go, I didn't choose this. I didn't want to be here. I was just kind of going along my life, following the rules, following the protocols, following the fact that governments allowed all these amazing tastes and flavor sensations to be available. And so who was I to question it? The answer is I was no different to you to question it. I basically put my foot in the ground and I said, hold on a second, I'm 35 years old. Do I want my children feeling like this when they're in my age or beforehand? And my answer was no. And so I kind of put my fingers on my ears, I closed my eyes, and I went in search of a new way. And I found it. I found it so deeply, in fact, that as we speak about inflammation last week, as we spoke about breaking glass ceilings, as we speak about eliminating fatigue, and today we're talking about alkaline or acid reflux, you will start to notice as we go through week to week that everything is related. And I've chosen this method as far as inflammation, fatigue, reflux, is because this is how the body starts to deteriorate. You know, Socrates said that illness doesn't come out of the blue. It comes from years and years and years of destruction to a live living force. And so we are that live living force. And unfortunately, 20th century food and the food productions, and I give credit to it because let me tell you something, I'm an addict, I'm a food addict, and it tastes so good. But at the same time, I know that if I'm going to have something that tastes so good that's going to be bad for me, I better know how to take care of my body first. And so this is where we find ourselves. So, really, I mean, the idea was when I put my fingers on my ears and closed my eyes, I just typed into the computer, what does the human body need in order to survive? And it was alkaline, fiber, vitamins, minerals, and enzymes. And of those 5, sorry, my apologies, it was sleep, shelter, hydration, nourishment, and I can't remember the 5th. But anyway, nourishment was in there. And so I went in search of finding what it is that the human body needs. And it turns out that the only thing good for us was fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and greens. So I threw caution to the wind. I turned away from my industry that I knew, and I went in search of finding how I can get fruits, nuts, vegetables, seeds, and greens to my body in abundance every single day. And I can guarantee you this, and this is no word of a lie, is that everything I'm about to tell you moving forward from here is I've tried on my own body. I've experienced it on my own body. I've gone from the worst to the best, back to the worst, back to the best, trying to see if it was food, if it was not food, was it medication, was it not. The end of the story is that you have the ability to bring your body back to life through life. Now there's a wonderful song, I don't know if anybody remembers it from the 80s. It went, na 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 na, life is life. And you know what? That is exactly it. Everything you see in front of me here is full of life, it's full of nutrition, it's full of goodness. And I'm alive, I'm full of life, I'm full of goodness, and I'm full of nutrition. And so these two connected. And within 1 week, I'd started walking away from all my ailments, including acid reflux. And I can swear to you now, 15 years later, I have never suffered from acid reflux the way I suffered back then. Now, I'm also going to be honest with you and tell you, I'm a human being. And so this isn't for the rest of your life. This is what your body desires in order to keep the levels of alkalinity up in your system. So that when you do cheat, when you do have something that's not right for you, when you do eat something that tastes so good but takes 8 to 12 hours to digest, your body is working at an optimal rate. And so it doesn't let you down. Now, that's basically my story. So when I walked away from acid reflux within 1 week, I kind of knew that I figured something out about nutrition, about health. And long story short, it took me 13 years to write the book and put it all together in a system that makes it easy for you to understand. So what exactly is acid reflux? Well, you've heard my story, but acid reflux is the continuation of hot acid foods combining with your acid gastric juices to create an environment that is highly acidic. Now, as I said, inflammation doesn't happen over a day. It happens over a long time. And so every time you consume foods that are highly acid, it's going into your environment that is highly acid. And so therefore, there is no relief. There is no coolness. There is no soothing. And so think about a volcano that you just it keeps getting hotter and hotter. You keep putting more and more lava into it. It's going to keep bubbling, and it's going to keep festering, and it's going to keep coming up to the throat, coming up to the top. So in a sense, that's what acid reflux is. It's the body just curdling the bubbles of acidity, the bubbles of food, and the saliva that wraps around the food inside your stomach. It starts to break it down, but because it's hot against hot, it just becomes ultra heat. So acid reflux is ultimately the volcanic eruption of your digestive juices coming up to the top, breaking through the valve that keeps it steady in its space, and before you know it, we're running to the doctor, running to the pharmacy, we're getting Tums, we're getting different kinds of platforms, and but the idea is that if you don't change your diet, you will never get rid of reflux. End of story. Where does it come from? I think we've understood that already in the basis in the briefing about food, if you take the alkaline versus acid foods. In fact, in my book, I think on page 123, you can see the whole breakdown of acid versus alkaline foods. And if you look at them, you'll notice that 95% of what Mother Nature has made for us is alkaline, and 95% of what man has made for us is acidic. And if you take a look at your daily diet and you think to yourself, what's the ratio? Most of us are living in a very low fruit and vegetable, high 20th century processed food diet, so you can understand why your acidity levels are the way they are. If you switch that around, within a very short period of time, your acidity levels will cool down, and you'll be able to be acid-free and reflux-free and GERD-free and everything like that. So who's getting acid reflux? Well, it's funny, I was taking a drive yesterday all the way up north somewhere, and I was driving past cow pastures, and there were horses, and I thought to myself for a second, I've never seen a horse or a cow suffer from GERD or gastric reflux or anything like that, because their diet is instinctive to the way that they were designed. So the species out there in the wild, they don't suffer from it because they're just eating instinctively. They don't have 20th century foods that they can go buy or thrown at them. The opposite is, let's say you've got a domesticated dog or domesticated cat. Well, we give them man-made food, so they're, when they're uncomfortable and they're bloated, they're having the same issues as we are. I've already connected with the why it happens. It's because there's so much going in and nothing coming out. And when does it happen? Pretty much, you're not going to have gastric reflux when you're a young child. You're not going to have gastric reflux when you're in your teens. Chances are by the time you end your teens, because by the end of your teens you're already making money, you're already buying your own foods, you're probably going to McDonald's a couple of times a week, you're probably getting takeaway with your friends, and so by the time you're in your 20s, you're already contributing to the higher rate of acidity in your body. And again, so it's food related. So now the question is, how does one relieve acidity? How does one cool the soothing on the inside? Now, there's the one way which most of us subscribe to, which is, I'm going to go to the pharmacy or I'm going to go to the doctor. The chances are, if you're like me, you'll probably, every time you feel like you've got reflux or GERD happening, you'll go get a Tums or you'll go get, something to relieve it. But you're not going to switch that mentality within your body, because nobody of status or nobody of stature is talking to you about nutrition. You see, I'm not going to harper on it, because I have a mass amount of respect for doctors and the practices that they go through, and yes, they only mean well, but they're not allowed to talk about nutrition. They're not taught about nutrition. They're only taught about, you have a problem, here is the cure, but the cure is not really the cure. It's the cure for that problem, but in essence, you're causing more challenges within your body. For example, let's say you go to the doctor and you ask for Tums, and it relieves your reflux. Well, you might be lactose intolerant. Did you know that Tums is made with lactose? Chances are not. So you see how the ongoing effect happens. Now, last week I spoke about fatigue, and everything's got to do with routine. And so when we wake up in the morning and we're tired, what's the first go-to? Is that we go to coffee. Whether you have it with sugar or not is irrelevant. Whether you have it with cream or dairy or not is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is that you've woken up from a deep sleep and your body is in a real state of relaxation, regardless of what you had the night before. If it was a high acid meal, it's irrelevant. You wake up in the morning and your body is saying to you, right, I need to be awake for the next 18 hours or so, 16 hours, let's say. I want you to feed me. I want you to give me what I need. But what do? We wake up in the morning, we put the coffee on, we either brew ourselves a coffee or we make ourselves a coffee and we start drinking it. Coffee is highly acidic, people. So what you're doing is you're energizing your body through the caffeine. It's almost like a cigarette. So you give yourself that boost, that fake boost, but your body in the sense is saying to you, oh, I'm already at a very low acid rate and you're just giving me more acid. So now I'm going to work extra time. Now I'm going to work harder. So now the brain is sending more messages in there saying, right, we got to get the blood level and our pH to 7.2. So the body is working and doing whatever it can in order to make sure that by the time it gets into the blood level is at a pH level of 7.2. And I know this is interesting, an interesting fact. When doctors, when I went to get some blood tests a while ago to find out where I was in the levels, I asked them to do a pH testing, and the doctor explained to me they don't really test for pH levels because there's nothing to really see there. It's because the pH levels very rarely show a fluctuation. And that kind of made me realize that how hard the body works in order to maintain that pH level. So as far as fatigue is concerned, your body's working overtime to keep you energized. As far as reflux is concerned, you're having the coffee to keep your energy at bay, and yet the body is working overtime. So you can see how the two are related, and yet everything is related back to inflammation at the same time. Inflammation is the cause of everything. So when we look at the beautiful fruits and vegetables inside of me here, or I should say in front of me or in the bags here, there is what they call an alkaline lime ash. So even though our bodies produce a acidifying acid of about 1 on the scale of acid to alkaline, 1 being acid, 7 being neutral, and 14 being highly alkaline. And by the way, the most alkaline substance that we can ever put into our bodies is baking soda. I know they say use it for cleaning and for sterilizing, for this and that, but if you are suffering from acid indigestion, just take a half a teaspoon, mix maybe 20-30 mils of water, and drink that, and you'll see within about 30-40 seconds the cooling has already happened and it really starts to heal you. So this is a really good natural cure. I should say not cure, a natural kind of preventative in the sense of that moment, but this is not going to give you the long-term effect. But going back to alkaline, everything you see in front of you here, when it's digested in the body and it's sitting and it's already been completed, it leaves what they call an alkalining ash. And so when you have an ash, as we all know what it is, it's burnt carbon in a sense, that alkalining ash layers on the inside of your stomach. And so without even trying to do anything, it's already cooling that high potent acidity in your body. And so by eating a lot of alkaline foods and by incorporating alkalinity into your body on a regular basis, you'll start to see your acid indigestion drop. How quickly you do it is up to you, but it will take you back to your instincts. So, you know, how quickly you do it is up to you, but at the same time, I'm going to now lead into my invention of Foodicyn and also my creation of the Blend Yourself Healthy platform. So I've given you all this information about acidity, but the idea is, hey Mark, that's great, and thank you for the bicarb soda, but I want to do it tomorrow. Like I'm tired of feeling the way I feel. I'm ready to just make that change. And if you're in that space, then I've got a great offer for you. So through my years of research and development, and knowing that fruits and veggies is what it is, and knowing that I come from an industry that everything has to taste good and everything's got to feel good and it's got to be a great experience in your mouth, I've developed Foodicyn. Now, Foodicyn is a daily routine of 32 fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds and green that you consume on a daily basis that helps alkaline your system 100%. We're not talking about a little bit here, a little bit there. We're talking about you wake up in the morning, you have your gold tonic. Once you finish your gold tonic, you have your porridge. When you finish your porridge, you have either your red or your green, and by the end of the day at 4 or 5 o'clock, you've literally consumed 32 beautiful, fresh, nourishing, alkaline ingredients. that are cooling and soothing. I mean, I guarantee you, after 2 or 3 days of this and getting used to it, you'll realize that this is the answer to your dreams. So if you're in the Toronto vicinity, I offer a production every Sunday, and I offer a free delivery every Sunday of a week's supply of Foodicyn. What I've done this week is I've lowered the price on the website to $300 for the week. It's normally $333, so you can get a 10% discount. That's up until 12 o'clock this afternoon, at which point it will go back to $333. So if you or anybody else you know are ready to jump into Foodicyn, you're ready to not only take back your body, but you're ready to relieve the acid indigestion that you have on a daily basis, if you're ready to get your fatigue levels up, that offer is going on until 12 o'clock today. And I'm also going to throw in with it a signed copy of my book, so you can read it at your own will and at your own pace, and you can use it for reference guides, etc. Please check the website. It's foodicyn.com. Very easy to purchase. There's a lot of information on there as well. There's testimonials from previous clients, so you can see exactly how the program works. With it, you'll also get a description of how to take it, what you're going to expect, along with many other little tips and tidbits of the ingredients and how they help you, so you can actually connect with it and go and realize why your body's feeling as good as it is. Now, if you're not in Toronto, which I know that I don't have a huge capacity as far as reaching outside of Toronto at this point in time, but I've also worked really hard on my blendyourselfhealthy.com platform. And what is that? That is my coaching and mentoring platform. It's where there's a shopping list that you go buy all the ingredients that make up Foodicyn, and then you jump into the membership platform at the back there, which has me in my kitchen over there showing you how to chop, how to dice, how to prep, how to store, and how to make and how to take the daily methodology of Foodicyn. Now, initially, it's probably a little bit of work. Probably the first time you do it, a good couple of hours of shopping and prepping and dicing, but you only do it for once a week. And then you wake up every morning and you open up your fridge and you have Foodicyn ready to go that you blended yourself. Now, that platform is available for $499.99, but I have a coupon code that you can use today if you'd like to jump on it, which gives you a 50% discount for $249.99. And as long as you punch in the code ANEWME, and that's all capitals, ANEWME, a new me, you will be able to jump onto the platform straight away after this discussion. You'll be able to sign up. You'll be able to book free phone calls with me, as many as you need, 15-minute phone calls to help you get there, because my whole goal is to help you. I want to be your coach. I want to be your mentor, because being a healthy human being should never have been so difficult in the first place. And with all the misinformation and with all the wrong information getting out there, and the amount of people I see suffering on a day-to-day basis, it doesn't have to be that way anymore, people. So get onto the blendyourselfhealthy.com. If you're anywhere outside of Toronto, you can start blending yourself healthy straight away. If you're in Toronto, jump onto Foodicyn.com for $300. I will deliver it to your front door tomorrow afternoon. So by Monday morning, you can start to blend yourself healthy and get Foodicyn into your body. And I'm Marc Neumann, and I hope to see you on the other side of your health and wellness dreams.